We are ready for next because it's now time for some brainstorming. So let's welcome Mr. Sanatnam Govindraj, who's the Executive Director at Capital Markets Broadbridge, who's going to chair an engrossing discussion around the theme of NASTech 2021. You heard me right. It's going to be around the theme of NASTech 2021, ladies and gentlemen. The discussion is around creating flexible strategies for customer success, resilience to resurgence. He would be joined by Ms. Meenakshi Iyer, who is the Managing Director, Retail Products, Technology and Innovation at Standard Chartered Global Business Services, along with Mr. Srinivasan US, who is the Chief Operating Officer, SGGSC India. I'm sure you all are as excited for the discussion as I am. Please welcome the panel onto the center of the stage.
Welcome to NASTech conference. First of all, want to thank NASCOM for giving this opportunity for us to share thoughts on a topic that has been top of a lot of our minds over the last few months. Creating flexible strategies for customer success as we move from resilience to resurgence. Over the last 2 years, digital transformation has accelerated across the board, with all industries adopting digital tech to sustain business during the pandemic. IT sector displayed resilience and helped other industries sustain their business during this period, becoming core competency for a lot of firms and no longer just an enabler. We have seen numerous stories of customers benefiting by this transformation and how people came together and they have been able to appreciate the value that technology has brought over to their lives. So today's discussion will focus on how banking and fintech plan to create flexible strategies, leveraging digital technologies for customer success that can take this resiliency displayed over the last couple of years into the next level and into resurgence. So Srini, Meenakshi and I, we will have a free floor discussion and we'll exchange our thoughts. We'll start with Srini. Srini, the recent crisis has shown how BFSI and IT sector has bounced back and shown resilience. What are your thoughts on the long-term perspective of leveraging IT talent in India?
Hello, thank you, Sant. Couple of years ago, probably since after a very long time, there was less optimism within the IT industry, which never lost its charm for a few decades. I've heard some aspiring engineering graduates not wanting to take computer science stream as they saw no future. However, as they say, every crisis creates an opportunity to bounce back. There have been a lot of challenges ahead of us, and the recent crisis has really helped us with the first response to this and our ability of the IT and IT industries to work from home. The resilience shown by organizations baffled even some of the regulators, I would say, as they were very wary of India's ability to have its infrastructure in place. The bright talent in India started responding to the growing demands from various parts of the world. We witnessed an ever-increasing pace of adoption of emerging digital platforms and tools. So organizations not only capitalized on this confidence, but also used this as an opportunity to adapt to the new ways of working. In my personal view, customers of the BFSI industry are facing 4 main challenges. First one, never decreasing demands from the regulators, thereby necessitating them to put extreme controls in place in a seamless and simplistic manner. Number 2, the threats that emanate from cyber and other risks. Number 3, adherence to the sustainability principles. And lastly, need to have better time to market with cost-effective solutions. What we've seen is the world is again moving to India at a much more rapid pace to leverage the abundant talent available. We have time and again proved that we are no longer seen as a cost arbitrage location, but can bring value much beyond that. people believing that IT and ITES industries are all doomed are in for a pleasant surprise. India will see the IT and ITES grow exponentially. There is an increased focus on organizations on continuous learning, focused upskilling, and encouraging an innovation mindset. The use of new technology, if I have to name a few, like artificial intelligence, IoT, blockchain, machine learning, data science, and more recently, cloud computing has created a win-win situation to tap the talent in India and use these to answer to the customer challenges and be a trusted partner to them. The startup and academia partnership has also seen a rising trend, and I see this to continue going forward. As we are in the middle of a lot of cricketing action these days, I would say we are in the power play era, trying to maximize the contribution to the ecosystem. Millennials are set to contribute, I've read in some papers, about 75% of the global workforce by 2025. So attracting this talent and retaining this complex but savvy talent pool is a must. However, the word of caution from my side is we have seen many organizations hiring a lot of niched skilled IT professionals, which is a good sign. Nevertheless, organizations should on priority bridge the skill gap that exists within the organization. There cannot be a magic wand which says that it will happen by itself. We need a big role of the leadership in every organization to step in and make this happen, and we should not let complacency step in.
Well said, Srini. I'm totally with you on resurgence of computer science among India's academia and the talent that's coming up. And it's important for us, for the organizations, to make sure that we provide the right kind of skill augmentation that's required for them to be competent in the ever-changing technology landscape. So it's a technology that's used today. In the past, say 10, 15 years back, became redundant, say in 10 or 15 years. Today, in 3-4 years, technologies change. So continuous learning is something which is mandatory for all of us to stay relevant in the industry. So next to Meenakshi. Meenakshi, we have known digital transformation in BFSI for some time now. Is it still deemed as transforming? What's your thoughts on digital transformation in BFSI?
Hey, thanks, Sant. And I'm really glad speaking at NASTech 2021 today. And nice to meet you, Srini and Sant, today. And it's an absolutely great topic that we're talking about, right? And digital transformation in the BFSI domain or the fintech domain. We've been speaking about this for a very long time now. I would say we have transformed, and I would say it's more of an evolution now rather than a transformation, because the idea of digitization and being digital is already adopted, and this is the strategy that every org in the banking finance industry is already undertaking. And I think without technology, don't think we can function at all, right? That's the state that we are in. The reason I would say it is an evolution now is, one, in the last 2 years, the customers have adopted digitalization much more than what it used to be, right? We were all in a digital era anyway, but there were always, a certain percentage of citizens and client users who are still hesitant, but in the pandemic, that's got changed. So I've seen in various countries, including India and other Asian markets as well, where the adoption rates have, doubled, and it's almost 100% in some markets. This is from the consumer banking sector that I'm speaking about, right? So that's an added advantage, and that's like a boost for further digitization in the industry. right? The other trend that we've been speaking about is the cloud. We're speaking about APIs and open APIs as well. And this is now coming to play, and banking and the financial markets is so highly regulated, like Srini was also talking about. And the security is a major aspect, but the cloud is something that gives us, the power of scaling, the power of computing in a way that we haven't envisioned earlier, right? So the banks are now getting into putting their client data into cloud, which is an amazing thing, and it opens up so many possibilities for us, right? So that's happening. Open banking and APIs is the second thing that's taken off very well, which is connecting the fintechs. It is connecting various other, organizations and the networks to the banking world, and making things happen, which again, we just dreamt about, but that's now happening, right? So I would say it's more of an evolution that is happening right now, and the transformation idea is already imbibed into this industry, and I think there is no other way than doing this, right? It's just being accelerated. It's been, like I said, boosted with everything that's going on around.
Yes, absolutely. Meenakshi, you mentioned about digital transformation on the consumer side of BFSI. I come more from the institutional side, and I can echo your views. Same things happening on the institutional side as well. Whether it is AI/ML adoption for value offerings for our clients and customers, or blockchain for some of the settlement solutions, and cloud is ubiquitous. We've associated cloud as being more risky, but with some of the recent security incidents on in-house data centers, the myth about cloud being the less safe option is slowly going away, right? So we have state-of-the-art security features available on the cloud. So in some ways, being on the cloud is more safe and secure, right, than managing security ourselves. So there's a lot of change that's happening, and I think it all points to more and more digital cloud going forward.
Just to add to your point, Sant and Meenakshi, on cloud, banks were cautiously optimistic, and I think embracing more of cloud technology is a game changer and has moved us to the next era, and I think that will sustain for a very, very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Now, moving a little bit to the topic that we have, right? That's customer success, right? How this transformation is leading to customer success. I have a question to both of you. Digital transformation has enabled banks to provide unique customer experiences through personalization, and some organizations have even restructured their business to align to customer journey rather than aligning their structures to traditional products, more outside-in perspective rather than inside-out. Do you see such strategies around personalization and customer journey becoming ubiquitous?
Fine. Historically, Sant, I think it's a very good question. So what we've seen historically in many of the sectors, and more particular in the BFSI area, the presence of this customer relationship manager. So once we hear this role, his role was to just firefight and ensure that no escalations happen. A generic product or an application is developed by the IT organizations, and it's given, and the clients, whether you like it or not, used to adapt their processes to suit the product that they were getting. So in this race for remarkable competitive edge that we have, many organizations forget that their existing digital solutions are not tailor-made for a customer. In fact, majority of the customers state that the experience a company provides is as important or even more important than the products or services that they get. So in this one, we are seeing a paradigm shift in the operating model, thanks to the incredible development of digital technology, it creates opportunities to increase the quality of customer service by improving customer journeys. Uh, Even here, we witnessed a mammoth shift from physical to digital, uh, and it just doesn't happen at an organization level. This culture needs to get ingrained and seep into every staff member in the organization, and we have seen new behaviors, new mindset adapting to this change. So just being digitally advanced is not sufficient. Extreme client centricity is a must. So finally, what I've read, I don't know whether it is prevalent in multiple industry, but I've seen in some where more and more organizations are creating roles called customer journey specialist. And I feel this is the growing trend, and it will sustain, it will remain for a long time. It will give enormous benefit because these specialists will be in close proximity to our clients and make them feel important. We say that the customer is the king, so this is really making them feel like a king now.
So just to add, and I would echo everything that Srini said, right? And absolutely, that's what's happening in the industry right now. The customer journey is what we think about, and it's no longer just products. One more perspective that I would like to bring about is also the experience that the customer gets by doing this, right? Imagine someone opening an account or trading in the financial markets. The speed matters. There is no time lapse that is tolerated anymore. Now, if you do not have your end-to-end journey digitized, then the customer is going to be dropped at some point to just as an offline method and then return back. That is not an experience that the customer can tolerate in this day. So that adds to the challenge we have, and that adds to the experience that we want to provide to the customer by doing a customer journey. Like Srini also mentioned, the operating model, the way we are organizing ourselves, organizing teams is also based on a journey model, right? So for example, I would take onboarding of a customer, for example, then that also has to go through a due diligence process. That also has to go through, let's say, providing a credit card digitally and so on and so forth. We're now able to be doing all that in a few minutes, right? Once you open an account, your KYC is done then and there, and you get a digital credit card. And that's what we call as a credit card journey today, right? So the end-to-end experience matters, and I don't think there is any tolerance of delays anymore. And that's also a driving factor for us to start thinking or to be operating in the journey mode. That's what my 2 cents would be.
Yeah, great point, Srini and Meenakshi. Till about a few years back, personalization and providing that unique customer experience was something which was forte of the technology companies. You would associate shopping cart from, say, an Amazon or some of the top Silicon Valley companies doing that. But now even the banks have started doing it. The kind of analytics, insights that data provides and digital overall enables has made it a great level playing field. And Fintechs in the sector have also made a big difference in my view. So I think a lot more to come in that, how we use personas to take the customer experience to the next level.
Just to add to that, right? Also, all this cannot happen just within the banking technology sector. Like you said, the Fintechs, the partnering with Fintechs has become important, and bringing in those bespoke products which can be easily integrated has become a norm now, right? So there is coexistence of the banking technology within the regulated era, and also the partnering of the Fintechs that's happening, that's enabling it and making it faster. And we need not worry about something niche. For example, someone doesn't have a great analytics system within their org. They could always get a fintech to do that for them, and it works wonders, right? So just an example. Or regulated, authorized fintechs which can easily connect to government databases and bring us that information. Those have become a necessity as well. So all that adds to the customer journey being successful.
Yes, yeah, great point. So moving beyond the customer journey, we all know organizations have to adapt, and evolve their IT strategy to not only have the competitive edge, but also to keep the end customers happy. So can both of you share some experiences on this aspect?
Yeah, probably I will start, and I'm sure from the vast experience, Meenakshi can add on, complement what I'm saying. So what we've seen is every customer expects a reliable service from the banks at a competitive price. It's given. I mean, they want something at a really competitive price with the best service. So this creates a bit of a pressure for organizations to deliver the best solution. So organizations are caught in the web on one side, reducing the IT spends, which without exception, it's really huge in many of the banks. And on the other side, be abreast with the latest trends and technology, and ultimately give the customer what they need. So organizations cannot afford to bank on their past laurels and ensure that they will be able to retain their most loyal customers, and hence adaptation to the need, being agile in the adoption, and making the necessary investment in the IT strategy is key. So Meenakshi spoke a little bit about open banking. So that is one area where you also use the word bank as a service or banking as a platform, where we are seeing this trend increasing, and customers get it at a very competitive price, the new ways of doing banking. So just to get back to basics, in my view, there are few fundamental things that require immediate action. One is rationalization. We keep talking about using new technology, revamping everything, but then just get back to basics. What I've seen is in many organizations, you have a plethora of small applications, at times multiple variants of the same to suit the needs of the various lines of business. This will not take us anywhere. So rationalization of such duplication and small applications is a key. The more you have, the maintenance cost is going to increase, and I'm sure customers need much more than this, and they need value for the money that they put on the table. Another trend which we've seen, which is slowly changing, is legacy migration. So banks particularly, they've got applications which have been running for 25, 30 years, and the first thing that comes into mind is it's working fine, but then I think we need to move on. So we need to get into the latest technology and ensure we give the best to the end customers. The third point is on Fintech, which Meenakshi spoke about. I would add another term here called RegTech. Organizations should not try and do everything by themselves. In the BFSI space, we need to partner with the fintech ecosystem. And for banking organizations, compliance is the key. There is a lot of pressure from the regulators. So we need to support the grooming RegTechs, which is not tapped to the right potential in India. We've seen that in few of the Asian and European countries. I think we need to leverage more of that in India. The next basic thing that organizations need to do is the security adherence. They are so vulnerable to the cybersecurity threats, And hence the overall strategy needs to ensure that they take this into account when they put their strategies in place. And finally, again, back to simples, enhance customer experience. Organizations need to keep the customer in their entire journey and co-create solutions with them, and it's just not for them. So in an agile manner, you sit with your clients and co-create solutions, which will lead us to a win-win solution.
Pretty interesting question, Sant, and I've been thinking about what is it that I'm going to speak differently from Srini here. And we seem to be having similar thought processes around many of these topics, which means uniformly the industry is adopting, in this manner. However, I would just like to bring about this one important aspect of banking, right? The banks are highly regulated, and there is a reason why it is regulated, to keep the customer data safe and to protect the customer's interest, right? And it is essential for banks to do that, which is why we have the banking licenses. Now, a lot of times when we go to such panels, people end up asking, is this banking there to stay, or fintech is taking over, and what's going on, etc. Right? So it's important to understand that the banking license is important and very difficult to get it, right? Which is why we have got these few large banks which is operating in the world. Now, where does that take us from an IT strategy perspective, right? Apart from everything that Srini said, which is what most of the large banks are doing in their tech space, there is one more thing that we're doing, which is the banking as a service. Now, you could provide your IT services to extend it to, let's say, a retail giant, so that they could provide some of these services to their customers. It's a win-win situation. One, this large retail, for example, like an Amazon or a Flipkart or any of those ones, I'm just taking names here, they could leverage the regulated license of a banking and provide those services. Imagine I'm shopping for a new home and buying a lot of appliances, and I don't have enough credit. I might just want to open, a quick account or a quick pay now, buy now, pay later kind of a thing, or any of those things, or take a loan. At the same time, would a retail giant be able to do that? They can, if they are able to partner with a bank. And thus, for the bank, it is tapping to the customer base. And for non-financial such retail organizations, they are able to provide extra services. It's a very similar concept as to how the bank tech is using fintechs. A similar thing is how other non-BFSI org can use banking and provide those services, right? And so very interesting one. We've been doing that as well. So the shift is not to really look at the brand of the bank and so on and so forth, but conveniently provide those services. And it's easy for these industries to tap on here, because now they're leveraging the license that we've got from the regulator, right? So it's like a win-win situation. The ID strategy, I'm clearly seeing these are the things that are happening in the industry. So there's a shift between should we just look at our traditional customers to can we do more and service a wide set of customers that are around in the world, and thus expanding those services. So that's my 2 cents. With great tech, we're able to do many things that we had dreamt of, and that's coming to a reality right now. So really happy to be in this industry at this time. Sant, you're on mute.
Yes, excellent point, Meenakshi. There is always the debate on are fintechs going to take over the banks? In my view, it is not one or the other. There's a lot of complementary services that both of them can offer. Like you highlighted, banking license. Even in India, while payment banks are there, payments is a separate business now, and then you still need a bank, right, where you hold your money. So, and even in other areas on the institutional side too, there are a lot of non-differentiated services that say banks, wholesale banks, investment banks, they don't want to do it themselves. They rely on fintechs to do, say, clearing and settlement for them. So there are a lot of opportunities like that. So it's never a one or the other. There is a lot for both the ecosystems to grow in parallel. And Srini, to your point, you talked about app rationalization. So that's another topic that's common across the industry, right? Banks have been among the first to adopt information technology, say 60, 70 years back. And there are a lot of legacy applications. It's always easy to build a new application, but then to move 100% over from the legacy to the new is always the challenging part. The last 5% always stays in the legacy application. So these are some of the challenges. Maybe the final question as we wrap up, while we move towards digital transformations, what are some of the top challenges that organizations need to address to get into resurgence? Maybe this time, Meenakshi, you can go first.
Thanks, Sant. The challenges, right, to first is the cybersecurity. There is, we're not one of those IT product companies which can churn out, a version upgrade once in a few weeks, once in a month or so. And that is because we have to make sure that we have zero vulnerabilities and we are, keeping everything secure when we deliver. So it takes time for us to deliver something into the market. And there is a good reason around that. So the cybersecurity and keeping up with that trend. And I can see, if there are students in this call attending this conference or early career people, I would strongly suggest that this is an area of field that is booming, and it will remain because this is an extremely important aspect for us. The other thing would be, let's say, localization regulations that keep coming up from various countries, right? Where we cannot hold data centers outside of the country. I think RBI has also come up with something like this, and many countries are going with this localization policy for the right reasons. Now, that's one more challenge. And here is where if banks are adopting cloud, it makes it easier for us to comply to these regulations. But at the same time, these are also slightly disrupting in the pace at which we go, right? So keeping up the pace with newer regulation, newer compliances is a challenge that we've always faced, we'll continue to face, and that's something that keeps us alert as well. So that's the second thing. Third is the talent that we have. It is, and I think beginning of the call, we talked about, talent as well. We need to have much better talent coming in, much better engineering coming in from the schools into the corporate world, and that's where we see that we're going to struggle in the future, because there isn't as much as demand that we have, there isn't as much supply. So at the moment, we are facing a talent issue as well. There is a lot of demand and a slower supply. I'm sure you're smiling, Sant. I know what's happening in the world, but I would just say that that's one of the things that we're dealing with.
Fine. Maybe I'll add a couple of points from my side. So fully agree with what Meenakshi mentioned. Along with the regulation, probably I will add one unknown element as of today. If the India Privacy Bill gets passed very soon, probably next year or the year after that, I think there will be a lot of challenges for organizations to see how you adhere to it. I would say more of an administrative hassle to get this done rather than a big challenge, because we have worked with GDPR and other regulations. We are still able to do work, but then we need to keep this in mind and not take it too lightly, and keep the transformation agenda going and not get complacent. Sometimes organizations feel, okay, fine, I'm into the game, and they tend to go a bit slow. I think that will be a nemesis for them. So we need to keep the transformation going. The momentum should be at the same pace, if not faster, and good involvement of the leadership, as I mentioned earlier, to bridge the skill gap. Meenakshi did mention about the dearth of the talent. We can have this created within the organization by cross-skilling people so that they meet the demands. And finally, again, two very, very simple things: communicate, 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 be it with your staff, be it with your stakeholders, be it with the regulators, or be it with your clients, and keep things simple. Sometimes in our urge to do something really good, we try to make things complex. Just keep things simple and things will fall in place.
Yeah, thank you, Srini and Meenakshi. And my smile around talent, we all know the situation in the industry now. The last 6 months have been mixed in a way across the industry, right? So demand, economic demand has come back better than what anyone expected, right? So there is shortage of everything, starting with chips, even coal, talent. So it's good for the long term. I hope we are able to increase the supply to meet the demand, and the demand stays such healthy levels going forward as well. So it's a lot of good discussion points. So in conclusion, right, Meenakshi and Srini, do you want to share what are your top focus areas? You talked about global to local, and strategy to implementation is going to be another area of focus. So in conclusion, what will be your focus areas for the next, say, 12 months to 2 to 3 years as we move forward?
I can go first, Sant. I think modernization of tech platforms and the turnaround time to deliver customer experiences will remain the top priority. At the same time, making sure that systems are stable, highly secure is the second one that I would talk about. The analytics piece and leveraging what we are aware of in order to make decisions, in order to create products, curate products, I would say not create, curate products for customer delight is something that would be in the top agenda item for us. Of course, all this cannot happen without leveraging data, and that remains the core heart for us as well.
So Sant, if I have to summarize on whatever we discussed in the last few minutes, for me, the whole topic was around resilience to resurgence. So the way I would put all this is, from a resilience launchpad, we are all set to take off to the orbit by tapping the abundant IT talent pool, again, cross-skilling, reskilling wherever needed, and providing a great employee experience. So this employee experience, so once you have your staff in the organizations with a good employee experience, they graciously diffuse this and convert it to a splendid customer experience. And all along the journey, we can make the entire flight delightful.
Great summary, Srini. You made it easy for me. It's been a great 30 minutes discussing these topics, and this is very relevant for the right for the current environment. And we are at, in my view, crossroads, right? So the way business and technology will be adopted going forward is going to be very different from what we knew even during the last 10, 15 years. And the last 2 years have given preview to how things are going to be. And really great to speak to both of you and get your experiences. And I'm sure this will be interesting 30 minutes for everyone who's watching this. A lot of opportunities out there. At the same time, we need to be prepared. We need to equip ourselves to be able to leverage the opportunities that's out there. So that will be my last words on this. Thanks, Srini and Meenakshi, and thanks, NASCOM, for this opportunity. And happy NASTech conference for everyone. Take care. Have a good day.
So Barry Commoner in his book, The Closing Circle, gave 4 laws on ecology. The first one was that everything is connected to everything else. And the discussion we just had here clearly supports that law. I mean, the discussion clearly illustrated how banking operations, cloud technology, big data, customer experience journey, personalization, academia, talent, employee experience, they're all deeply interconnected. Wow, I mean, great insights, I must acknowledge. Thank you, Santhanam, for leading that discussion to its conclusive end. Meenakshi and Srini, thanks a lot for your thoughtful points. And Meenakshi, you also pointed out that the industry is undergoing an evolution than transformation. So I am extremely hopeful that the evolution is going to bring great value to the service providers as well as the end consumers. Thank you once again.